I'm asked a lot of questions about LinkedIn, so I thought I'd categorize my top 10 and give you some quick answers about the most common questions asked on LinkedIn. So, where do I start is the most common question, and I would always tell people to start with optimizing your LinkedIn profile. That is your home base on LinkedIn, and I would always say that your content tells, but your profile sells. The profile is the place to put your key value proposition, your value to the world, what your product or service does and for whom. And to get to the point with that, you need to optimize the opening part of your LinkedIn professional headline. That's the piece of text that appears beneath your name. It's the only piece of text that follows you all around LinkedIn other than your name, and it's the thing that can get people hooked in to looking at your profile where you can really sell your services. So start with optimizing your profile. What do I post about? The obvious answer to that, go and look at all of the questions that you're asked by existing and prospective customers and answer those in your content on LinkedIn. So whenever you chat to people face to face, on Zoom, via email, or any other channel, go and gather up all of those questions that you've received and come up with a definitive answer for each one so that you can refer back to those answers the next time a customer asks you one of those obvious questions. Go and look in your sent items folder in your email inbox as well, because you've probably got a gold mine of stuff that you've already told people in the past. You can put that into content too. Start there. Should I post personal stuff? This is a very personal question. Some people feel comfortable doing that. Other people don't at all. You have to decide for yourself. But the number one reason not to do that is just because other people seem to be doing it on LinkedIn. I think there's a balance between being 100% professional, which is really, really boring and doesn't open the door for people to get to know you, and 100% private, where you're putting your whole life out for people to see. And I don't think that really helps to build a lot of trust. So the ideal balance is somewhere in between. You have to decide what you're comfortable with. And if you're doing something you're not comfortable with, the signs of that will probably come out some way. So personally, I would prefer to be a little bit more reserved in what I put out in public. But my tactic for opening up a bit is to do so in the comments of LinkedIn posts. Good luck. Whatever you decide, it's your choice. How do I approach people? Well, LinkedIn has a very, very powerful search feature with loads of filters in it. So you can search for people by keyword, you can search by location, you can search by former company worked, what languages they speak, you can search for hashtags, and you can combine those things and others to build a short list of people who you think might be relevant. I would then go and assess those profiles and see who's active, who's commenting, who's posting stuff, and look for ways that you can support and engage with that content in public, and then approach those people with a personalized invitation, and that's the best way of starting a relationship. Do I need LinkedIn Premium? I think most people don't. I got to 34,000 followers on LinkedIn without paying LinkedIn a penny. I do now have a LinkedIn Premium account. That's more for reputation than anything else, than for any of the features. I think you should maximize your use of the free platform before you look to upgrade. It's kind of like saying, should I buy this super fast sports car, when you don't really know how to drive the much cheaper family car first. So I would say in most cases, no. It does have several features that some creators will find really useful, but it's also an expensive solution. So max out your use of the free plan. When you feel you're at your limits with that, that would be the time to upgrade, if at all. Should I switch to creator mode? I think in the early days of having a LinkedIn account with not that many followers, I would say probably not. You want to build your network, and when you're not in creator mode, the default mode, you present a connect button on your profile to the people that you're not connected with. That helps you build lots of first level connections if people come to you and connect. If you're going to create content on a regular basis and you've got a substantial following already, I would say maybe at least 1,000 connections. I would then look to turn on creator mode. You'll get all of LinkedIn's new features first, and you'll prompt people to click the follow button when they visit your LinkedIn profile. That helps to accelerate the growth of your follow account. That can increase your visibility. So I wouldn't do it when you're at your early stages. Once you've reached about 1,000 connections and you're creating content regularly, I think that's a good time to turn on creator mode. How do I increase my social selling index, or SSI? This is a score between 0 and 100 of how LinkedIn ranks your profile strength and your general strength of presence on the platform. That score in itself doesn't really correlate to success in business. There are people who have higher SSI scores than I do, but don't have the same engaged network and business opportunities that I do. So I wouldn't tie your worth to your SSI score. I think any score above 70 is excellent, and beyond that, the actual number becomes a little bit academic. So there are ways and means. Fill in your profile, make sure all the fields are filled in, create content, comment on other people's stuff, direct message your connections, join relevant LinkedIn groups. There are lots of things you can do to be active and engaged on LinkedIn, and you'll find that your score naturally goes up. But as I say, don't tie your worth to it. It's not a guarantee that you're going to make loads and loads of money. Should I put links in posts? There's loads of research about this, and the situation has changed a couple of times in the past couple of years. I would say wherever you can, try and create content that serves your audience where they are, which is scrolling LinkedIn, usually on the mobile app. So if you don't need to include a link, and you can include all of the relevant information right there, right then, in that post, in that comment, in that article, in that newsletter, then do it without a link. If you do need to include a link, then include one, but I would include links sparingly where you can. Some people put links into every post that they put out on LinkedIn, and it's no surprise to me that those content creators tend not to get great engagement on their content. If I'm engaging with someone else and I happen to have written a blog that covers that very topic, it might just save me some time to say, hey, I can't fill all of this space manually with all of this text, but I've written about this already. Here's a link to it. That kind of makes sense. But otherwise, try and do it natively on the platform without links where possible. Do I need a company page? I would recommend that everyone has a company page on LinkedIn. Company page content tends not to get the same visibility and engagement as content that's posted through a personal profile, but there are still strategic benefits to having a company page. For example, as a small business owner or solopreneur, if you've got a company page, then you can display your corporate logo, your business logo, at the top of your LinkedIn profile. There are loads of other benefits of having a company page, but the fact is, if you know what you're doing, you can set one up in about 5 minutes. So there's very little barrier to entry here, and I think it is an added bit of prestige for your LinkedIn account to be associated with a company page. So I would definitely set one up. How do I get more engagement and visibility? It's a long, slow road in my world. You try to engage with others' content instead of just putting out your own stuff. And the content that you do put out should always start a conversation. Ask a question in your content and think of yourself as the host of a party who is starting conversations by asking interesting questions to your relevant audience, and go from there. Have lots of conversations behind the scenes through direct messages as well, because you'll find that people remember you that way. They'll be more likely to want to interact with your content. And of course, if you go and interact with their content first, there'll be some reciprocity going on, and more people will come to your home base and interact with your material. It does take a long time to get visibility. When I was first starting on LinkedIn properly at the start of 2017, nothing really happened in terms of engagement and visibility for me for a good 9 months. Here we are, more than 6 years later, and my engagement and visibility is now quite high. It's a long, slow road, but good luck. There we go. Those are the 10 most frequently asked questions about LinkedIn to me. I'm interested to hear what you found most interesting out of that list. If we're not already connected, please send me a personalized invitation to connect. You can DM me anytime with questions. Good luck with your LinkedIn journey and keep in touch. And thanks for watching. Cheers.